Good evening. This is Cece with Going Solo, Life After Divorce. And yes, there is a life after divorce. And tonight, again, I wanted to bring you something that was a little bit more inspirational because, as we're moving through, the transition of a relationship loss, it can be very, very trying, very difficult for us. And I've really been the last month really focusing on more and more trying to give us that inspiration. So wherever you're at, in the divorce process or the relationship loss process, it can maybe, stretch you a little bit and make you look towards your dreams and possibly your goals if you even know them yet. So this is what we were really trying to do here on Going Solo. So all of the great guests that we've had these past a couple months have really been focusing on that. And so I wanted to do a big thank you to Talkwad Network for having us here in the station. They're a tremendous support. They give us a lot of attention and let us be able to really get our word out there to help people that do need it. And so please take a listen to some of the other shows that are on. And, I'm going to plug another great show, which is Affairs of Your Heart, which is another show of mine. But I would love to have you guys come and listen with Easy E and myself. We're talking really about dating, a lot of dating, and about relationship building. Because as we move through this relationship loss, we want a life again. We want to be able to, make a path for ourselves, make a way for ourselves. And so that's what that show is about. But there are some other great shows here on Talkwad Network. So please check it out. We are on liveandloveradio.com. And I wanted to give you straight away our call-in number so I don't get excited and not give it to you. But our call-in number is 813-235-0644. And so if you want to call in tonight and be with me and chat with me, I would love to hear from you. I'd like to know where you're at and what I can do to maybe help you. So we do have a guest tonight, and she's going to be calling in shortly. So we are waiting for her to give us a call. And but before that, I wanted to really kind of stretch out and ask you, where are you in this relationship loss? Well, how are you feeling? What are you going through? How difficult is it for you? And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to really try to flip flop it a little bit and give you some inspiration to be able to know where you're going. And our fabulous guest is going to be able to help you and assist you with that. And I am just so delighted to have Helena on the phone. Helena, are you there?
I am. Hi, Cece.
Hi. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to Going Solo. So, Helena, tell us about you. Tell us, where you've come from, what you're doing, and everything.
Well, I've been coaching people for a long time, but it's my first part of coaching singles was in the early '90s. I had a I had a dating service. So at that time, I wanted to make sure that they didn't just get thrown to the wolves, and so we had classes and we taught inspirational things in our classes. So that was when I first got into Return to Love. I don't know if you're familiar with that with Marianne Williamson, but that was when we started teaching that way back in the early '90s. And I moved out of state and sold the dating service. And of course, I can just tell you story after story about how some of the funny stories about what different people expected. Here they might be, not taking care of themselves, and yet they wanted a woman, maybe with a man who, had quite a big belly, and he wanted a woman who was like, absolutely a 10. And the vice versa was true as well. So you have to kind of talk them down off the edge.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was when I first started working with singles, like I said, in the early '90s. So it's one of the things that I continue to do that with, even though I no longer have a dating service, is the fact that I've become certified as a coach and I'm an ordained minister, and I still have this special place in my heart for singles because it can be a lonely place, as I'm sure that your audience is aware of.
Yeah.
And we have to find ourselves all over again.
Right. Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical problems here in the studio, which is cracking me up. But you're absolutely right. And the thing is that we are so often, when we're right in the thick of things, we're so often not seeing the end result. So we don't really know sometimes where we're going to go and what we're going to do. And so, your coaching, I really think is very, very helpful. I don't know. You're a mentor and you're a visionary, and for me, the visionary part is seeing beyond the path. Seeing beyond the clouds and to be able to go there. And I think so. How would you, if you were at the very beginning stages where you just can't see anything and you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, what would you recommend for someone?
Well, sometimes it really is about just going inside because we all know that we're created perfect. And the world, the world out there, and especially when you're coming out of a relationship, it can be quite, it can feel like you're coming from the moon, you know. So sometimes it's really better to, we have to learn to love ourselves before we can love anyone else. And we may have been loving someone all these years. Maybe, in my case, I was a mom. I was a single mom. I had two kids. And when you're single and you're raising kids, there's not a whole lot of atta girls on mom's shoulder, right?
Right.
It's all about taking care of them. And then I came into the empty nest syndrome time, and it was like, okay, I know it's supposed to be a time for me, but what the heck am I supposed to do? You know? And I had to go back and kind of look at, well, what were my dreams when I was 15 years old? What were my dreams that I had put aside because I had two boys to raise? And sometimes in that we can find that little bit of a dream that we I'm talking about the kind of dream that you have when you're laying on the ground and you're looking up at the clouds and you don't have a worry in the world. And you find that you wanted to be more creative or artistic, or you wanted to, in my case, I wanted to help people. I had gone to school in nursing, but then what happens? I couldn't go any further in my degree because I had two little boys and I'd fall asleep wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with my head on my trigonometry paperwork. And I couldn't go any further in my career. So I changed careers. And we do what the real world requires us to do to bring home a paycheck and to feed our children.
Absolutely.
And
I was thinking
at
about
some,
that. Thinking about,
go ahead.
how they're being old. A lot of our audience are a little bit older and they don't necessarily have the little ones at home. But we do have some that do. But, I was thinking about that, what you were saying. And I think you are so right that sometimes we do. We do lose our dream, especially if we're in a long-term relationship. We tend to live, and exist, but we don't necessarily, we've forgotten how to dream. And so to bringing it back to maybe how we were when we were younger and really think about our life on a whole, I think is excellent, excellent idea.
Well, I had someone ask me that when my children were young, and I was actually still married at that time, and she said to me, what are your dreams? And I just looked at her like she was crazy. And I said, dreams? I don't have time to dream. I don't know. And I thought that was a normal way to answer that. I didn't realize that when we give up our dreams, when we give up the time to dream, because it takes time. If you're buried in a 40-hour-a-week job and raising children, it doesn't really matter if you're raising children or not. And when you're going to work, it's very hard to actually find your creativity, your sweet spot, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. So, we all are. What I encourage, I work a little more with women than men, but the fact is that I encourage them to step into their creativity and their power, because we all have it inside of us. We just have to kind of like allow it to bloom and blossom again, because we've covered it up with any number of things. We've covered it up with we buy into what other people tell us. And I don't know if you normally talk about favorite authors or anything, but I love to read. And one of my favorite authors is Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote
Mm-hmm.
The Four Agreements. And I love this quote: 95% of the beliefs we have stored in our minds are nothing but lies, and we suffer because we believe all these lies. And one of the lies that we believe and practice and reinforce is that getting older is uglier. And then we judge ourselves and others trying to hold on to the way we were. And if your audience is a little bit older, which I definitely am, I'm in that early retirement age, and we have, oh my gosh, I am so happy to be here. We can't get here without learning some valuable life lessons. And we have so much to offer a potential relationship, whether that's with a girlfriend or with a romantic relationship. We are awesome. And your audience is just as awesome. They just sometimes forget it. Or it's gotten covered up with all the stuff that we allow society, whether it's a commercial talking about, showing women as a perfect 10, or if it's someone that, shows men looking like, a young version of George Clooney. That's not what it is to be real. And
True.
we've got to be real, and we've got to be authentic, because without that, we might as well hang it up.
Absolutely. So, I often talk about redefining ourselves. I think that we have to really step back and look within. And I think this is what you're saying tonight, and really get more in touch with, what it is that makes you happy, what your desires are. And I think this is equally, and I feel this is equally the same for both men and women, is it not, Helena?
Oh, I'm sure, absolutely. I mean, I can't speak from a man's point of view, but if, like, for example, if you, whether you're single or in a relationship, we need to be doing things that bring us joy, because we don't know if we have tomorrow. And we may spend the rest of our lives without having that significant other again. So we've got to find happiness within. And so, like, for example, I like to dance. When I remarried, my husband was a dancer. But since then, of course, he's not dancing anymore. So what do? I go and take dance classes. So it's because I need to feel that creativity that goes with the music. And it's the same thing. We find that when we get a little bit older, that our relationships don't have to be totally 100% about that other person, that we can still find out what brings us joy.
Absolutely. One thing you had said to me when we had our phone conversation is, I loved how you said to celebrate the glory from within. I thought that was
Oh,
just a marvelous statement. And I think that's what we have to do as we're moving through relationship loss. We have to stop and step back into ourselves and celebrate our glory from within, and be able to resurface that and start redefining and reestablishing ourselves. And one thing you had suggested when we were talking was a dream board. Having a dream board. So can you tell me a little bit more about this?
well, a dream board can be, it can be a board, it can be a journal that you write, but the whole point is that I go through, it's a 3-hour process when I go through with a group, but
Okay.
it's not just about tearing out the pages of, the whole point is most of us have done this in some way or shape or form. You go through magazines and you tear out things that you like, kind of willy-nilly, just things that, like, whatever. It can be a red mark on a black page. If you like it, you're supposed to tear it out, and then maybe it'll fit into your dream board. And then but if you talk about, one of the things that makes, I'm a certified vision board coach, and one of the things that we do a little differently is we start with gratitude. And there's if you talk about law of attraction and you talk about what's going on in the world, there's a lot of beliefs that unless you're grateful and thankful for what you have today, that the universe is not going to give you bigger and better. The universe, the spiritual universe. So we go through a great gratitude of what we have now, and then we talk about what we may want. And, there's that difference in want and need. I may want a 6'2" dark-headed Italian man, and I may have settled for, and I don't mean that to be anything disrespectful for my husband, for almost a 5'10", man that was 10 years older than I was. That wasn't my game plan to find that man. See what I'm saying? So there's
Absolutely.
a difference in want and need. And we really get down to, I've talked to people where we talk about that difference of how many of us have tried to fill our needs by going out and shopping or gambling or any of those addictive things can because we feel empty and we're trying to fill it.
Right.
When
And
really we're
absolutely.
all filled from the spirit, whatever
Right.
your beliefs are. We're actually created by spirit and we're filled by spirit. So as we look at what our wants and needs are, maybe we think we want that 6'5" guy with a, full set of hair and, flat abs and everything. But what we need is someone who really sees us and respects us and loves us and will appreciate us. Big difference of
Big
what we
difference.
wanted when we were, in our teens.
Oh, absolutely. I think our world has changed really, and we're trying to catch up with it and really kind of get our feet in more stable ground. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that as we're moving through relationship loss, we really start to assess what really has value for us. And determining that we have value from within, and as we're a bit shattered, because of the relationship loss. I mean, no one wants that. I mean, there's nobody that I've ever talked to that
It doesn't
says,
feel good.
no, it doesn't
That's
feel
the
good
bottom
from
line.
either party, whether it's the leavee or the leaver. It doesn't. The breakup is not something that you don't get into a relationship to plan on breaking up, and so
Right.
both parties hurt. One may very well hurt more than another. Maybe they hung on a little bit longer, wanted it more, or whatever. But it's still a time of reflection, and as you said, a time to be grateful. I mean, many times I've gone through my life and had a lot of difficult times, tremendously difficult. And I often say, why am I having all of this stuff hit me? But then I stop for a minute and then I think, okay, well, I think that I'm a carrier, and what I need to do is figure out how to overcome what I'm feeling so that I can share it with other people, because I know that there's hundreds out there going through what I'm going through and probably far worse. So I need to be able to be a voice to let them know that it's okay and we can get through this together. So I really love what you stand for, the visionary part of it, to be able to, steadfast in your beliefs and your core values, and to be able to, look beyond the turmoil of what's happening within your life, and to understand that this is a moment we're actually living through. And it's not the end, it's just a moment that we're going through. So I love that, the celebration of the glory within. I think that was just a fabulous statement. I'm going to put that on Facebook. So, and you post a lot of
And of course,
wonderful things.
just to finish the vision session, you
Hmm.
go ahead and you put your pictures on there on a way of what you expect to happen. And there are different beliefs in that, but there are people who say put the vision board away, and then you'll find that it happened. And there are people who say put the vision board on the wall, and then every day you set an intention. You set an intention that you're going to, you can have it as something as simple as a car that you wanted. It doesn't have to be all about relationships. Find other things that make you happy, that give you joy, and put those on your board as well. And many times, and I've done vision boards for myself many, many times, and I have put them away, and I pulled them out months later, and I find that all of these things have come to me. They've been manifested because you bring them to you. We attract what we think and talk about. So that's
Absolutely.
the point of the visioning, is the fact that if you're talking about loss, you're talking about the anger, you can't forgive that other person in your life, then you're going to bring that doom and gloom. It's going to hang right on to you.
Hmm.
So, for us to think about what we really want, what is joyful for us, what fills our soul, that's what we want to bring to us. So if you have that negative thought about, that, person I was with, is a jerk, whatever, that's all that's doing is bringing negativity back to you.
Yeah, that's so right. Absolutely. So really the same thing as we've always talked about, the law of attraction. You put it out there, you put you center yourself and you start believing in yourself, start believing that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to do. Visually see it. It's almost like as if you get, your all your senses in tract, right? I mean, you start really starting to go down that path because you can sense it, you can feel it, you can taste it, you want to start living it, and before you know it, you are living it. So it's you want to put the positive forward. So I think that's great, absolutely great.
The Course in Miracles says that there's only two emotions, and there's love and there's fear. So if you're in fear, whatever that might be, fear about finding another relationship, fear of finding another job, fear of a move, fear of whatever, then you can't be in love. And when I say in love, I'm not talking about in love meaning balanced. We talked a little bit in a prior conversation about getting back to balance. And it's not just people that, it's so easy when you're single to say, well, this is because I'm single. This is because I'm divorced. This is happening because of that. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people in the world right now that are out of sync. And we sometimes even think that the world is out of sync, don't we?
Absolutely.
So how do we get it back in sync? And it's all about getting back into balance. And this is where I feel like, we had also talked about the fact that I didn't live this many years so that I could be sad or lonely or depressed. I lived this many years so that I could give back. God granted me this wisdom that I could give back, and for you as well. And so as we're holding that in, that doesn't benefit us. We want to share it. We want to share that. And if we're sharing joy, what's going to come back to us? Absolutely joy. And so if you want to be in balance, there's a number of ways that you can get in balance, right?
Right.
I mean, it's, the whole, if you look, I always see the pendulum, and many of us had I'm a baby boomer, and so we kind of had like the wild child days, in the back in the day, maybe a little bit too much to drink, or a little much too much partying, or a little bit too much of anything. And so our pendulum swung far left. And now where we are in life is we want to get it back to center. We want that pendulum to come back, and we can do that by a number of ways. And part of it's what we're talking about is coming back to center spiritually, whatever is right for you in that spiritualness of oneness with your maker. And then there's any number of things. I mean, we're really, there's no secret to the fact that we're an overweight nation. So we need to get back to a healthier diet. The fake stuff that's out there is killing us. The lack of exercise because we work too much and we get in our cars and we go everywhere. Those are things that we can change by parking a little way further away. I mean, I'm sure that if your audience were to call in, they could give us any number of ways that we could kind of turn that balance, bring it back to balance a little bit. Okay, well, maybe you work so many hours, you don't have time to really walk around your neighborhood, but you can park your car further away from the building. You can, when you're waiting for someone, you can walk in place. You can pass up the French fries sometimes. You could cut out Coke. You could cut out sugar. There's all number of ways, and there's so many ways that you can get good information on the internet and from your friends. And then there's that whole idea that maybe you want to make your house a little more green so you're not using the chemicals that are hurting you and hurting your family. So this is a time of reflection when you're single that you can put all those things into place a little easier, and you can make a decision whether to accept that or not accept that in the person that comes into your life down the way. So you're basically getting ready for that person. And if they come, that's great. And if they don't, at least you're in a better place.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was talking with one of my girlfriends the other day, and and we're both getting older, I said to her, I said, you know what? I think what we've got to do is we just have to figure out how to just make ourselves happy, because maybe there's not going to be someone else in our life. Who knows, But as long as we are happy and content with where we're at, we'll be okay, you know.
Well, I know
And
you've heard the story. You're
mhm,
absolutely right, because I
mhm.
know you've heard the stories about the people who, like, for example, they try to have children and they finally give up and they finally adopt and they get that baby and everything is hunky dory in their life. And what happens? They get pregnant. It's kind of the same thing in relationships. When you get right with yourself, then you're going to attract people to you. And when you're not right with yourself, and that's not a that's not 100%, because sometimes, you know I mean, I know I've been in relationships where I would much rather be alone than be with him again, that type of thing. And most of us have been there.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I would rather be alone than be with him again. And I'm not speaking at any specific him, but I'm just saying that there is no way I would go back on that way. I mean, even if when I was left, I was left at some point, and I was sad, and I went through all of these grieving process that we're talking about. But when you look back at it, it's like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you for taking that away from me, because I am such a better person because I've gone on and made myself happy, because we tend to think that we're happy when we're not, because we just, I don't know. I
Well,
was I was raised in a family where divorce was not accepted
mm-hmm.
in my religion. So when I got divorced, I was the black sheep of the family. So I went through some rough times, not just because he wasn't in my life, but because of the way my parents and my family took it, and my church. So, but now looking back on it, I was like, oh wow, this is what allowed me to grow and become who I am today. And I know it's hard to see that when you're in it, but it really truly is. It allows you to step into your empowered person of the beautiful soul that you are.
I so agree with that. So often we're so lost within the relationship, both men and women, and I've heard this from both sides. And when we look back, as we've traveled through a bit, we start looking at ourselves, and we realize how far we've come, and there's no going back, because we don't want to be that person that we were before, and we're not that person, so we never can be. So as you've already moved forward, it's like kind of almost like a done deal. You're there, and so you have to just keep moving through it and grasp, what's really going to be good for you, and that's called growing. And I really think it's a great experience when we embrace it versus trying to think it's a tragedy that's happened to us, because we do think that when we go through the immediate entrance of relationship loss, and it can be relationship loss from not even from divorce, just from being together, realizing, oh my gosh, my relationship is in the toilet. I mean, it is gone and I can't get it back. He or she is having an affair. There's all these different things happening, and it's lost. And so many times we stay
Oh,
within the relationship before we actually get out of it.
right.
And, you know, then when we're out of it and we're moving through and we start to establish ourselves, like you said, we start to, create a balance for ourselves. You can't, when you're like, it's almost like you're at the end of the pier and the wind is blowing, and you're there. You can't. It's like you can't go back again. You have to just keep going forward. So, but yeah, it's hard. Now, what would you say for families that are going, when they have children and they're going back and forth, and they're struggling with trying to create a balance for the kids, trying to figure that out. The kids are going back and forth with each other. Each parent's trying to, start creating a life for themselves. How would you say, any recommendations you can give anyone out there that's struggling with that type of arrangement?
Well, it's just so easy to use the children as pawns, and one would hope that we're all to a point of maturity that we can put our children's needs first. And by negating the other parent, it's just, I can tell you a story that just, I run a group that is for suicide survivors. And the co-administrator of the group was divorced, and her husband was really, really mean to her, and it carried over to when the child would visit, the daughter would visit the father, they would spend a lot of time putting mom down. And the child got where she hated to go see dad because they were so negative about mom. And this is really a sad story, but the whole point is so anyway, long story short, the daughter committed suicide.
Oh, gosh.
And 15 years old. And it was basically because she was so unhappy with her parents ripping each other apart. I don't know that I only know the mother, so I can only say that from the mother's point of view. But we, in our infinite wisdom, certainly would not ever want that to happen to our children. And we need to keep in mind that this is just literally ripping them apart when we are divorced and we're playing tug of war with them.
Absolutely. Well, the thing
Yeah.
is as kids are growing up, this is something I think we have to know as parents when we're going through this back and forth thing going on here. We have to understand that our kids go through a tremendous amount of challenges as they're growing. As they go through, being young into the teenage years and then trying to, go into becoming an adult. Those are all tremendous, peer heavy type of challenges that they have to go through. Then if we're
Sure.
putting the burden of the fact that they have divorced parents that can't get along, that's even additional. Now, just your normal everyday child has tremendous challenges that they have to go through with regards to staying away from smoking, drugs, sex. I mean, there's just all those kind of things. And even those things were around when I was a kid. So they're certainly around now, if not even more. Things are a lot more readily available. So if we have a child that's going through challenges within their home between their two parents and they don't feel they can talk to either parent or there's a lot of friction going on, what's going to happen is that child's going to turn to something negative. And so we as parents need to remember just because we're divorced, we are still parents and we have a responsibility to be a union with this child. And so I think we as parents have to gut it up sometimes, even if we're not happy with the other partner. We're still parents together, and we still have to raise this child. And
Yeah, that's
so,
a good term, gut it up. I'd say bite my tongue, but the whole point is right. We've got to put their needs first because it's tougher now to be a kid than ever
absolutely. Oh yeah,
with
I
all
mean,
the peer pressure and the drugs that
oh
are
yeah.
available on,
We
to
yeah, we didn't have that
12-year-olds.
when we were kids, but then we had a lot of stuff. So you can imagine with the stuff that they can get into now and without having a strong, steadfast, balanced family. Even though you live in different places, my son lives with my ex-husband, and I always tell everyone, they look at me, oh my gosh, your son doesn't live with you. I said, well, he's got to live with somebody, you know. I mean, why are we making a judgment? We shouldn't be making a judgment. He's living in he's happy and he's doing really well. May come a time when he needs to live with me. And so,
Sure.
and we'll make that decision as a parent what is best for him and together with him. So, I mean, it's those kind of things I think that we have to put the relationship loss aside and really focus on our kids when we're rearing children, you know. And I think, and there again, it's when we were talking about the vision, being visionary. I think we have to, envision our children, as young, healthy, grown adults, and as we're moving through the relationship loss, a division of a family, really focus on doing what we need to do to achieve that end goal. Because sometimes we lose that with the bickering and the division and,
Well, I don't think you can be a good parent if you're unhappy yourself. I don't care if you're male or female. It's, number one, it's apparent to the children. I mean,
That's
even if there isn't bickering, the children are smart and they will know if you're not happy. So you've got that's all the more reason. I know it sounds selfish. So we were raised, many of us were raised with the idea that if we did anything for ourselves, it was selfish. But it's really to the benefit of your children to make yourself happy so that you can show them what happy looks like.
great point. Very good point. My mother used to always say that your children are a reflection of you. If you don't like what you're looking at, you better look at yourself. And that's what she used to always tell us all the time. So, we would complain about such and such doing this or that, because I have four children that are already grown and gone and have families of their own. I have four grandchildren. So, and then I have the little one who's 10, so I have five altogether. But yeah, so every time if I would complain about them when they were little, my mom would say, "Well, have you looked at yourself lately?" So it's like, "Okay, mom." So, but yeah,
It's not why in my generation it seemed like it was much more acceptable for a woman, a mother, to be the martyr than it was for her to be happy. It wasn't. We were never taught that it was okay for us to be happy. We were taught that we should be, totally into the children and meet their every need and the husband's every need, and who cared what we wanted. So, as a single person, as I did more for myself, I had judgment all around me. So, this is the time. This is the time when when you're single and even newly single. This is the time that you can be exactly who you want to be. You can change everything about you that you don't like.
yeah. So it's
What a
really an
wonderful opportunity there. A
Yeah.
great do-over. I mean, don't you love do-overs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we get this opportunity to start from scratch. And if we choose, we choose to hold on to that other stuff. That's a choice we make. We've got to go through a grieving process. I mean, the psychiatrists say we have to go through a grieving process when we lose a relationship, but we have a choice. We can be over with it in 5 minutes or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So it's true. We have choices and we can make those choices for ourselves. Absolutely. And sometimes we forget
So
that,
what,
don't we? We forget
for
that.
each of your people on the line, I would say, what are you choosing today? What are you choosing today to make you happy?
Yeah, that's an excellent thought. Because so many times we forget that we have control of our own destiny, don't we?
We do.
We do.
We do,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could be minuscule. Okay, yeah, I can't be the president of France tomorrow. However, I can be better tomorrow at whatever I want to be than I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much information online now, and free classes and podcasts and wonderful, wonderful support groups and so many things that we can. And I did want to mention that because if you don't have a good support group, this is the time for you to find that support group by reaching out to people like you. If you like to bowl, then join a bowling group and make friends there, or dance, or whatever it is that you like to do, and make those friends, because your relationships can come and go. Talking about a romantic relationship, but those friendships, they can last you your rest of your life. And what a gift they are just in themselves. I mean, I'm sure that there was times that that's what got me through.
Oh, I
My friends.
agree. I agree. And the thing is you can make relationships, you can make friendships with both men and women. So that's something that I think creates a nice balance for yourself. So if you are moving through and you find that you don't, you really don't have a love interest and you're not really ready for a love interest, just make a lot of friends and friends that you can actually go and do stuff with. And I have a lot of male friends and
Mm-hmm.
very respectful. wonderful, wonderful men, and they give me a lot. They give me a lot of wisdom and caring and very nurturing. And the same thing with the ladies in my life. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think you have to start creating your own space and your own space of time. And as you said, things that you're interested in, start doing that. Don't take any negative. If somebody tells you something you don't like or you don't believe, then just throw it out. Just stick it in your pocket. That's what I say. Just put it in your pocket and forget about it. And do what it is that you want to do. I know when I was trying to figure it out myself, trying to figure, okay, now what am I going to do? Because, I really was focused on my husband's career, not focused on mine. I didn't really have one. What am I going to do? I have a few skills. And, my daughter had suggested going back to school. Now that'd be great for some, but I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to incur all these expenses. What am I going to do? And then I was touched by some people that were in the divorce support group, and they really reached out, and I really was able to expand on that. And then I realized that I felt like my calling was really helping people. And so that's what my focus has been on doing. So, I mean, it's just the smallest little surprises that can happen in your life that can lead you to things that you would never even imagine. So, just believe in it. Just believe that you do have a future and the future will come. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
and you can do this at any age. It really doesn't matter. I was in
Hmm.
a networking meeting last night and it happened to be women. And there was a woman there that had, as long as I've known her, she sold jewelry and she did very well at it. And last night I said, "Oh, so are you still doing the jewelry?" And she said, "No, I just got my broker's license. I'm going to sell real estate." And I mean, the woman's not a spring chicken. You know what I'm saying? She's up there close to probably 55. And I admire that so much, that people that can just say, well, I want to do something different. I can do this. I mean, this is maybe you don't want to go back and get your doctorate in a different modality than you did when you were coming out of college. But there's so many things that we can do that I mean, I've seen professionals and, attorneys and doctors, I've seen them become kayakers. You know what I'm saying? And the flip side is also true. You see kayakers who become doctors. And it's, this is not possible in every country. This is only possible in really a small amount of the world's population, that we can make these choices and have this freedom. And we're so blessed.
Oh yeah,
So,
I agree. I mean, I believe in we've had some mediums on the show and things like that, and I'll just tell you just briefly because we're coming down to the end of the story. But I had my future read, or whatever you call it, told, and the lady said at the very beginning, she had said that I was going to be on the radio, and I laughed. I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, that is the fat chance of that. Am I ever going to be on the TV? She goes, no, seriously, you're going to be on the radio. You're going to be on the radio, and I see you on TV. And I just thought it was hilarious. And she said, no, you're going to be on several shows. You're going to have several shows. And and look at now. Here I am on internet, TV and radio, and I've got this, marvelous two shows, and looking at possibly doing a third. And I'm loving my life, although I'm going through many challenges. But I just absolutely look at my future, and am thankful that I've been so blessed and met the people that I've met in my life. It's just been tremendous. So you all that are going through those very, very tough times, know that your future, your story is not written. And your destiny is just out there waiting for it to happen. So you definitely need to grab a hold of that. So tell us, Helena, how do we reach you? Tell us all of your information. I don't think we even said your last name. So tell us everything of how we can reach you.
well, my last name is Trangata. My husband's Italian,
Mm-hmm.
and I can be reached. I give out my home phone, so 727-457-9391. My email is coachbellissimo@gmail.com. And even though my Facebook page is full with friends, I have a page that is for coaching, which is called Be the Magic dash Helena Trangata dash Tinkerbella, because I got nicknamed Tinkerbella a long time ago. And
Oh,
so, I would love to hear from any of you. Um, I have a lot of interest, and I would be glad to share them with you. I believe Cece is going to put this on the website and the information on the website. But as a person who's been through it all, I just feel like you've got such a great future ahead of you. We just have to be open to it. And if I could just take one more minute and
oh
say
yes.
that an attitude of gratitude will bring us a lot further than any other one thing that I've ever seen in my life. And by starting a gratitude journal was probably the one most powerful thing I've ever done in my life. And I was married at the time I started that, but we were having a rough time. My husband lost his mother, who was very depressed, and the very first time I started it, I just put thank you for the birds and the trees. I mean, I didn't even know what to write, and then that has from years has taken me to that I am in gratitude most of my day and most of my conscious day when I'm not, doing something that requires my total attention. And it's just changed my life. And I would encourage anyone who hasn't tried that to. It's a powerful resource.
Yes, that's very wise, very good idea to do that. I mean, I've suggested that a few times myself, and I do it myself, and I don't do it as often as I probably should. You do it every day; it's great. I don't, and then sometimes when I start, my stinking thinking, I call it, I stop for a minute and I say, okay, you've got a lot to be thankful for, and then I
Oh,
do the same thing.
you're
We
right. You're right.
yeah.
Absolutely. And just look at this bombing in Boston. I mean, there's people there that their whole lives turned around in that day.
Yes.
And, you know, so you don't have very far to look. I mean, anytime you sit and listen to somebody else's story, because of what I do, I hear a lot of people's stories. And it never fails that I come back going, I don't want their story, because of any number of things, because there's just so much negativity out there. There's injustice around every corner. So we have to look at and draw to us, going back to that law of attraction thing, we can draw to us, just like Cece and I found each other really through Facebook. And we were drawn to each other because we were both uplifting people. We feel good about helping others. And I feel like that, I have a group on Facebook called Sage Goddesses, which anyone is welcome to join. And that is why, because, as we age, we become sages. And, if you go back to the Native American beliefs,
Hmm.
and we can share this wisdom that we have been, by living this many years that we've gotten from our maker and from just life experiences, we can share that with others. And I think that is really what we've kind of forgot
Oh, I
in
know.
the
Yeah.
hustle bustle of the world.
Hmm.
And I'm here to help. And so if I can help any of you, or obviously if I can help you with anything, Cece, this is who I am and what I'm about.
Absolutely. You're a wonderful lady, and I appreciate you spending the time with us. So, one more time, can you share all your information? They can contact you because we're right down to about last 5 minutes here.
Sure.
Mhm.
The last name is Trangata, Trangata, and it's 727-457-9391. My coaching page is Be the Magic Helena Trangata Tinkerbella, and my email is coachbellissimo@gmail.com. And Bellissimo is Bellissimo, and it's Italian for beautiful. And so I believe that everyone has beauty within them, and I just hope that I can help them bring it out.
Well, you certainly do, and I thank you so much for spending the time with us. You're just a marvelous lady, and I look forward to all the postings you do on Facebook because I find them very uplifting. I'm always liking everything, so because I want to be able to share it out with everybody that I know.
And
So,
see, I
yeah.
didn't mention that I do have a singles page on Facebook, and
Okay.
so it's Bellissimo Singles. So
Oh, okay.
anyone is welcome to join that. And it is a page, so it's not a whole lot of discussion, but I'm open to anyone sharing and discussing on there on
Oh,
anything. And so
wonderful. Well,
my whole
wonderful.
point of doing that is just to, maybe uplift, you know, I
Yeah.
consider Facebook my ministry. So therefore, if I can hold someone higher, lift someone higher, then I've done my job.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, you are a very lovely lady, and I thank you so much for being on the show
Thank
today.
you.
So I'll go ahead and let you go, but I thank you so much, and please post anything you'd like on the Facebook page on Going Solo and on my personal Facebook page. Please feel free to post anything that will help others. That's what it's there for. So I do appreciate it. So thank you so much for being on Going
Thank you,
Solo.
sweetie. All
All
right.
right, then. Bye-bye.
Blessed. Be blessed.
Thank you. Well, what an exciting show, and what a delightful lady she is. And please go on our Going Solo Facebook page, and we'll post the information there for you. And we're also going to be having a new site up, which is the Going Solo show, which is going to be up there for you, the Going Solo Radio. And we'll be posting our guests that have already been on the show, and we're going to try to provide links there for you so you can go into their sites and be able to, if you need additional coaching or anything else like that that you might want to do, because we've had some authors on and we've had some various different individuals doing different things that might touch your lives and change your lives. So we're going to have that there for you. Of course, you can reach me on My Friends Connect, which is the divorce support social group. We meet the first Friday of every month. I would like to extend the invitation to you to come out and join us. Love to have you there. We have some great, absolutely fantastic people on that site. They talk and give encouragement, and they're just absolutely wonderful people helping others as they have been helped through the transition of relationship loss. So they're there for you. We're there for you. So please join the group. Also, we have the transition into dating and relationships, and also a singles group, which is an over 40s group. Please feel free to join it. We're going to have some activities. Easy E and I are going to be planning some things. We also have the Affairs of Your Heart on liveandloveradio.com, this wonderful station that we're on. We're on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. So join us for Affairs of Your Heart with Easy E and myself. Also, of course, we're here every Wednesday night at 7:30, and this is Going Solo, Life After Divorce. And we want to share with you that there is life after divorce. As we're moving through some of those very, very tough times, we are here for you. So we have articles and things like that that we post for you that will help you get through. But know that you're not alone. You are absolutely are not alone in the troubles and trials that you're going through. Know that there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and that there are good people like Helena and Lisa, Mari. I mean, some of these great, Tara. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. Some of these wonderful guests, Janet Reynolds, Janet Tatum, all these super people that have reached out and been on Going Solo, and I appreciate that so much. So you will get all of their information on the site. But I want to thank once again our wonderful network here, which is TalkWad Network. They are absolutely fabulous. But I wanted to share with you something that they're also doing. They're in partnership with IBO, which is the broadcasting, internet broadcasting station, and they're doing something very unique, and I wanted to share that with you. They are helping individuals or companies or businesses that are nonprofits, giving them a platform in which to get on the radio to show and share what they have. So if you have a nonprofit, contact me or contact the TalkWad Network or the IBO and let them know about you, and maybe you could be on the radio too and extend your information out to others so you can touch people as we have all been touched by what you're doing. I want you to know that you are making a difference in today's world, so you need to just keep on doing it, keep on trucking through, and things will be better for you. So I cannot wait to see you next Wednesday, and I want you to always know that you can call in anytime, and you can join the conversation. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Cece Going goingsolo@gmail.com. That's Cece, Cece, and then goingsolo@gmail.com. You can just send me any kind of information that you want, what you want to talk about, what you want to hear, what you like, what you don't like. I'm okay about it. I like to hear about it so we can make any changes, because that's what life is all about. It's all about those little things, the changes that we have in life. And, we just have to go with the flow of things. So, anyhow, this is Cece signing out with Going Solo, Life After Divorce. And I will see you next Wednesday at 7:30. Looking forward to it. Bye now.